first. The Beatles hardly ever wrote a political song, but in 1972, both John Lennon and Paul McCartney felt compelled to write songs about the troubles in Ireland. If you had the luck of the Irish, quipped John Lennon, you'd wish you were English instead. Paul McCartney was blunter. Give Ireland Back to the Irish was his single, which would have been a hit had the BBC not banned it. I have, like many Australians, a mixture of English, Scottish and Irish ancestry, and had it impressed upon me from a very early age that the Irish desperately wanted the English out of Ireland because they were so fiercely independent. Fiercely independent. What a joke. If this is what your idea of Ireland is, you're in for a shock. That is the fantasy. This, in some places, is the reality. So what's going on? Well, it turns out that Ireland, which fought so hard and bloodily and at such cost to human life for its own independence, has, over the past couple of decades, willingly handed over Irish sovereignty to the globalist EU commissars and World Economic Forum types with their open borders madness. And the Irish, or some of them, have had enough. Conor McGregor, apart from being a proud Irishman, is one of the world's top mixed martial arts fighters, a UFC champion whose biggest fan is a certain Donald J. Trump. Conor McGregor visited the White House on St. Patrick's Day last week and addressed the White House press room, where he did not mince his words.
What is going on in Ireland is a travesty. Our government is the government of zero action with zero accountability. You know, our money is being spent on overseas issues that has nothing to do with the Irish people. The illegal immigration racket is running ravage on the country. There are rural towns in Ireland that have been overrun in one swoop.
Later on the White House lawn, Conor threw a few more punches.
One of the Taoiseach says you don't speak for the people of Ireland. Your response to that?
I am an employer of over 200 people, almost 300 people in the country of Ireland. He's an employer of none. Every available metric available to us has shown that the government of Ireland currently has failed the people of Ireland. In 10 years, Dublin city centre has gone from one of the most safest cities in Europe to one of the most dangerous. So shame on him for saying that.
Conor,
and I'm
what
here.
do you say to people who feel it's inappropriate for you to be here, given...
God bless Ireland, God bless America.
So what's the true story? Let's ask the Irish.
Well able to differentiate between people fleeing from war and people just migrants. Yeah. We don't want more services if that means more people. No. Most people might not know why we're walking. Okay. We are walking because there's a measure of discontent in the town. We have a lot of young men who are not working, who have accommodation that my son certainly couldn't get any accommodation when he came back from Australia. Right. You begin to see through and realise they're all the same. They deliver the same thing. We're dictated by Europe anyway, and we have no sovereignty. But everybody who's in Ballaghaderreen at the moment, who's using up all the housing, no housing for the local people, everybody now in Ballaghaderreen they're not contributing to the community in any way.
What she's, of course, referring to is the influx of immigration and asylum seekers into Ireland. This was a typically lush green field in Tipperary only a year or so ago, but now it's a purpose-built village for Ukrainian asylum seekers and migrants. To many locals, it feels like Ireland is being colonised all over again. Only this time, it's not by the English.
This is your job, that's how you justify it, lads. Fair play. You're not sorry at all. Giving a sorry.
They're all shaking hands with the security guards. Look, handshakes. My God. Oh, the security guards are wearing body cams. Body cams. No balaclava tonight, no? You forgot your balaclava?
Basically, you may be living in a beautiful rural island in a tight-knit Irish village in a tight-knit community where everybody knows and looks out for each other and has done so for generations, when the government, the Irish government, out of the blue announces that they are opening a migrant camp in your village. The police, the Garda arrive, push you aside, erect these impenetrable steel walls and create a military-like compound right in the heart of the village with the CCTV cameras pointing at you, the villagers, not at the migrants.
What's he doing? You're interfering with the traffic. I wasn't going near it.
You were in front of
I was in no way near it. Okay. Okay.
Can I read out the Constitution?
You're entitled to protest.
Look at this.
No
Look
issue.
at this.
And then they set up roadblocks and only let in those connected with the asylum camp and keep out the villagers.
Did you not just question or ask, what is the plan for Newtown? Do you not escalate that risk? The risk of you guys being here, you're causing all this frustration.
Frustrated, that's putting it mildly. Here's another camp outside Dublin.
Honest to God, you know what you are doing to us. My heart is broken. I swear to God. You're going to stop, you're upsetting me as well. This is desperate what you are doing to us. You understand this. You understand this. I'm letting it here. This whole community. My head is broke.
Guys, understand.
What are you doing? What are you actually doing?
There are many such compounds right across Ireland, most of which are hidden from view. And come the next day, these are the new locals in the protected compound, clearly keen on assimilating successfully into the local community.
You don't say that when you're inside. Say it. You don't say it inside.
And then out for a quiet stroll in the balmy Irish evening.
Look at the amount of them.
Meanwhile, although they are afraid to directly blame the men from the migrant camps for fear of being labelled racist, terrified parents are starting to speak up about what is happening to schoolgirls near these camps.
I think it's really sad that in this beautiful weather, school children can't walk home on their own. Every school child in Ireland deserves to walk home without being preyed upon by sexual predators.
Is this the Ireland that the Irish fought so hard to keep Irish? Perhaps I'm being unfair, or am I? There's a street in Dublin, Suffolk Street, which has a statue to Molly Malone, the famous fishwife whose story was immortalised in what is regarded as the official anthem of Dublin. The statue is in Suffolk Street, less than a gentle 20-minute stroll to Talbot Street on the other side of the river. I'm sure Molly would recognise it today, or would she? In Dublin's fair city, where the girls are so pretty, I first set my eyes on sweet Molly Malone as she wheeled her wheelbarrow through the streets, broad and narrow, crying cockles and mussels, alive, alive, oh. Now her ghost wheels her barrow through the streets, broad and narrow, crying cockles and mussels, alive, alive, oh. Still, it's great to see that the streets of Dublin are still filled with the sound of joyous music. And mercifully, there's no shortage of traditional multicultural Irish fare.
كأرهنا صومالي دبلن يقولوا ودك إيرلاند ود وين سوالف بانتاي ما توحيد الجيني مكان عصب وأنت معلق وهي ترى ولا ليجسي ترى ستركوا تاماتا ما شاء الله تبارك الله حتى واحد فنيا المدحضون وكمل المدحدي إيرلاند يا شيء هذا بقول كيف فنيا بقول كيني بقول عثمان حتى لو بقول في المقالة الحياة ما شاء الله والبرية ما شاء الله تبارك الله.
I couldn't spot any cockles or mussels on the menu, sorry Molly, but still, here's one Irish chappie who has a positive prediction about the future of what he calls the new Ireland.
It's a new Ireland.
It is though, it is the new Ireland. It's the new Ireland of new, different diversities, multicultural people, Filipinos, Spanish, Africans, mixed people. I met a girl the other day, and I was like, "Where you from?" She goes, "My man's from China, and my dad is from Africa." I'm like, "Whoa, Ireland is unique now. We're mixed." Because I can imagine in 10 years' time, there's going to be Barack Obamas walking around, Beyonce's, and different sorts, mixture of people. So the whites are going extinct here now. So we're taking over.
Naturally, this magnificent new island was on full display at last week's St. Patrick's Day celebrations, where along with the various ethnic communities displaying their wares, Ireland's finest were joined by the full panoply of globalist left-wing open borders identity politics on display. And of course, there was also the ubiquitous support for Palestine. They even took over a whole bridge to merge the Irish flags with the Palestinian flags.
Please, I've lost my bus pass.
I think it might be time for Paul McCartney to reform Wings and re-release that banned single from 1972.